So let me introduce you Ken Cudmore as practice. Ken runs TSGI Technology Strategies Group, Inc., where he has a whole team there, and he probably does more shred work than anyone else in Alberta. He is probably Western Canada's top expert on shreds. He is, at our behest, put together a fabulous presentation to the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, which has made its way into the Alberta government regarding issues of companies of losing their shreds or a certain portion of the shreds, the key portion when they go public. So, Ken, over to you.
Well, thank you, Mark, for that lofty introduction. Hopefully I can live up to it. As Mark said, I'm located here in Calgary and have been here for a number of years and involved with the program since 1990. So I've had quite a bit of experience seeing the changes in the program over the years. Today, what I thought I'd do is assume that our audience has very little knowledge of what the Scientific Research and Experimental Development Program actually is. And of course, the S in scientific, the R in research, the E in experimental, and D in development is where the SR&ED acronym comes from. It is a federal program, and it has been around since 1985, and its primary purpose is to encourage research and development and innovation in Canada. The provinces do have somewhat of a matching program, and the federal government advertises that this particular program, through the taxation system, actually distributes approximately $4 billion per year. Perhaps distributes is an incorrect word because many of them end up being prepaid taxes. But that aside, the program costs our federal government approximately $4 billion per year. The benefits to a public company, today's discussion is going to focus primarily around public companies, although we will divert for a moment and look at Canadian-controlled private corporations as well. But what's in it for public companies is there's a 20% federal investment tax credit, or otherwise referred to as an ITC, on qualified expenditures, but those are non-refundable. Most of the provinces, as I mentioned, do have a complementary program, some of which are refundable, and they vary substantially. Starting on the West Coast, we have BC at 10%, Alberta's 10%, Ontario is 10%, the Mid-Prairie provinces, Saskatchewan's 15%. Most of the other provinces, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland are in at 15%. Quebec, of course, is in at its own 37.5%, and all of them have complicated rules. You'll note that Prince Edward Island is absent from that list. They have their own program, which is not similar at all to the federal program, so we can't really consider it as part of this discussion. So what is the combined effect? You can't just add the 20% from the feds to whatever the province has, because the feds grind by the amount of the provincial tax credits. But as an example, if you were to look at British Columbia and Ontario, the combined effect for a public company would be approximately 28% of your qualified expenditures could be eligible for an investment tax credit. Alberta also has a nominal 10% rate, but because of the intricacies of their rules, it only equates to 26.5%. So enough said that this program is significant. It contributes an awful lot of money to a corporation, and it's something that really can't be avoided if you are in the technology area and your products, you're in a world market where I think most of Canadian companies are today. You have to be very, very concerned about whether or not you are taking advantage of this program, because it is critical for you to be competitive. You must adhere to it. So some of the other benefits from the program is deductibility for tax purposes. It does allow, by the virtue of the way that the expenditures are dealt with in the Income Tax Act, it basically takes all of them and treats them as current expenditures eligible for immediate deduction. So both capital and current expenditures, if they qualify as eligible expenditures, become 100% deductible in the taxation year at the discretion of the taxpayer. As far as when can you use the tax credits, well, you can carry them back 3 years against and use them to pay your taxes for the 3 previous years, or you can carry them forward for 20 years. So the window of opportunity is quite large, and one would have to presume that if you couldn't use them in that 23-year period, why that particular company would be in business. So unless you've had some extraordinary tax planning, one would think that you would be able to use those ITCs somewhere in that period of time. Investment tax credits are also compatible with other sources of funding. They, even if you receive things such as the National Research Council IRAP grants or other types of government, provincial or federal government funding, those can be used in conjunction with the SR&ED program. It simply does have an effect. It grinds the amount to which you're eligible to have as an investment tax credit. So benefits are delivered as tax entitlements. So in other words, it isn't either a provincial or federal program that's limited to how much the government is allocated to the program in that particular year. Because it is part of the Income Tax Act, if you're eligible, the government has to pay it out. So it has an unlimited ceiling as to the amount that is available under the program. Of course, the provinces in particular usually have limits as to how much they are prepared to pay their portion on. So that's one thing you have to be aware of.